everyone, it's Bryce120 here. Today we are going to be playing a game called The Forever Winter. I actually made a video on it somewhat recently, and hopefully everything looks and sounds a little bit better than last time. But essentially this is just going to be me playing the game while I yap a little bit. I might show off a different map or two, but for the most part when I play this game, it's just going to be some casual yapping with some gameplay in the background. I'll usually just kind of talk about whatever. Last video, my first video on this game, I kind of just showed it off and like kind of showed it as if I were introducing a friend to it. But this one's going to be less focused on like the different gameplay aspects and elements and more just, you know, me shooting while I yap. So yeah, that said, let's get started. Alright, so we're back in the tunnels. And we're going to be going to the map Nexus this time once again. But to start this video off with, one thing that's kind of been on my mind lately, and that if you know anything about me, is basically my obsession for heroes, and not necessarily like superheroes or anything, but just people that, you know, I would consider to be heroes that do heroic things, and they don't even have to be considered heroes by others, but you know, as it relates to stories and so on and so forth, they're generally the protagonist or like the main focal point. They get a lot of screen time, character development, so on and so forth, you know. I'm sure y'all are familiar with kind of more or less what I'm talking about. But specifically for me, the type of person or archetype that makes a hero isn't necessarily someone like I really honestly can't think of a really great example. I mean, Deku's not like the greatest example of this, but the characters or the people that really make good heroes in my book aren't characters like Deku from My Hero Academia. Once again, nothing like against him, but I just the characters that personally resonate the hardest for me and like what I truly really find myself attached to as far as that archetype goes to is characters that have a lot of almost unresolved trauma or like a broken perspective of viewing things, or that have just been really cynical, or something along the lines of that. You know, they have this inner conflict like long before they start to take on this role or position of hero or like of a main character that you know, essentially leads them to acting the way they do. And they may not always be just in their actions or have the right motives or anything like that, or even like at all to start with resemble what we would consider to be a hero. But for me, those characters are the characters that I really find myself attached to. So someone like Don Quixote from Limbus Company, she starts off as quite the, well, when we get to know her initially, she seems all bubbly, bright, and so on and so forth, very like set on her path of justice that she has defined, and whether or not others agree with that and like what she deems as just, she's very much, you know, determined to follow that and make that her like perspective of reality. But once we get to know her more during her story, we find out that she is not who she thinks she is, and in fact was at one point in time a much more cynical, long-lived, and like less hopeful person in general. She very much seemed to kind of be dismissive of the world around her and did not view a lot of things or people in like a positive direction at all. Even the people that were her quote-unquote family, for the most part, you know, she didn't find herself exactly affiliating with the way we would typically think of that connection. And while I won't get into like the whole specifics behind her character, the point is that she essentially has conflicts and issues with the world and the people that she's around, and is, you know, forced to kind of part with due to conditions beyond her. Well, people are anyways. And some time has passed since then, and the world has changed that she lives in. And going off that, oh goodness, how many brawlers am I going to fight? And the 100 kills are already here too, it's just crazy. Holy moly. Hello? Are my bullets just hitting an invisible wall or something? Is that what's going on? But you guys get what I'm trying to say at this point. However, continuing off that, despite all these grievances she has with the people in the world and her negative viewpoints and so forth, she's kind of come to realize while on this journey that she was almost forced into, that there's more to life than being around these people and viewing the world in such a negative way. That she can essentially do what she ultimately wants to do, which is be a hero, be someone that spreads like kind of a message of positivity and so on and so forth by pursuing these ideals that may seem impossible to her, but yet, you know, she kind of won't give up on. And it's someone that like she really admired and looked up to. Basically always had this philosophy of trying to make things possible even if they, you know, kind of seemed like they weren't going to be. And so even though this dream, so to speak, that she ends up taking on in this role isn't something she initially signed up for, wanted to be a part of, or so on and so forth, she ends up basically valiantly becoming this person that is really admirable, really like strong, and just a good inspiration to the people around her. Despite her circumstances, she continues to basically shine bright, kind of show what it means to be a hero, not give up on one's dreams, which is, you know, something I really love in characters, as I kind of was alluding to. Another really good example, or at least one that sticks out at the moment, is someone like Aiz from Danmachi. I actually personally like Aiz more as a main character than Belle, which is contrary to like probably a lot of people, because she's like the side character, like she's the heroine for sure. And she's like almost the focus point of her own story, but she's not in any way the main focus compared to Belle, which is like who the main series revolves around. But despite that, I like her more as a character because she's very hateful of like monsters that more or less kill their parents, and she has such a like traumatizing background that she comes from. And while it's not fully spelled out in clear words what she has gone through, like what led her to be the way she is, this trauma and this past self that she sees in Belle when she's helping to train him, it just makes the character hit that much harder because she seems much more grounded, human, and relatable compared to someone like Belle, who, you know, in a way, thankfully, has yet to go through any of these really negative, awful things, and is able to, in a way, shine brighter because of it to most people. But like I said, for me personally, I feel like it's these characters that go through the most hardship and still choose to, despite everything they've gone through, remain positive, cheery. Or not even like positive or cheery, but like they continue to strive for something more, something positive, something good that I really like aspire to be, essentially, you know. And like I said, there are other heroes that do this too, or like main characters or whatever you want to call them. And even like with the example of Deku, obviously he very much, you know, fits the bill in a lot of those regards. It's just that because he Aiz and Don Quixote and so on and so forth feel much more grounded in reality, that I'm able to like really resonate with them a lot more. I will also say, I know that for at least the case of Don Quixote, there's a very emotional like climax moment in the story where she more or less makes the decision to give up on her family, the only people that she's known for her entire life, that she's spent so much time with, in order to kind of pursue this dream or ideal that her and her father shared. And it's in that moment that we get to see her really like truly face the greatest like fear in some way that she has, because as someone that, you know, is more or less blessed with potential immortality outside of like dying to like some person that wants to kill her, she's all alone, and so, you know, she really has to take on that responsibility even after like the company that she's a part of disbands, of continuing to pursue her ideal, her dream, and kind of risking it all on that, you know. and she said her motto is like chasing the impossible star, or something like that. Like I said, trying to like make this dream that otherwise very well might be and might end up being impossible into a reality. I think honestly what it means to be a hero is something I think about a lot, because even going back to Danmachi, outside of Bell and outside of Eyes and a couple others, there are other people in the story that get defined as a hero, like Ryu. Like Bell outright calls her a hero because she was someone that saved him, and yet obviously Bell, despite calling Ryu a hero, or like even Eyes, still seems so much different, so much not better per se, but more of an ideal to chase after, which just leaves me thinking and reflecting on this question a lot, honestly. But yeah, with that said though, we're gonna continue on to the next map, and I'll be back to yap some more. Alright, well the goal was to get into Elephant Mausoleum. As you can see in the top right, I took all quests for Elephant Mausoleum, and I completely freaking failed because I could not for the life of me find the entrance at all. I don't know what's going on with my tunnels for Tunnel B, but I simply could not find them at all. So we're back on Nexus. Don't even got the quest for it, but it's whatever. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, and I will probably continue to talk about heroes just at different points throughout my time playing this game, or just really any game, just because, like I said, it plays a big part in like kind of my motivations and so forth at times. But one other thing I did want to talk about is the joys of modding, and like modding games specifically. I know some of you are purists out there that really just kind of like frown upon the idea of modding a game or like changing it in any direct way. But honestly, I feel like modding a game can really help you essentially relive that first time experience again for a game that you've played through and through. Or even if you have like an idea of the game and maybe you haven't like fully played it through, but you just want to make it more advanced, or make it so that way there's more of an end game and so forth and more content. I think modding is a really great thing for that. And it's one of the joys I have found in getting a computer back when I did in 10th grade, is slowly learning, obviously, more and more computer or related. Wow, I can't even speak. Or related things. Jeebers, I cannot speak at all. And so yeah, I think while it's very frustrating to have any, like, I don't know how to code like hardly at all, don't get me wrong, but while it's very frustrating and difficult to learn, it can be very nice to, ooh, shitty brawlers, I do, this sucks. Can't get an easy run today, can I? While it's very difficult, it can be a very rewarding process as well, is what I'm trying to get to. I remember playing modded Minecraft back in 1.15.2 for the first time, when I finally was able to. Because I grew up watching those videos, like I talked about, from Dan and this guy Minecraft, about watching modded content for the game, and like wishing that I could play and experience it. So it was very nice, although very difficult, very nice to be able to actually go through and play that. Just because, like I said, I am someone that has played a ton of Minecraft in my life. And even other games, like Stardew Valley, despite the fact that I'd only played it for like probably some hours at the time that I did finally mod it, I really wanted to just add a lot more depth to the game, a lot more involved things, and make it so that way there's more content, more grind, and so on and so forth, because that's the type of gameplay that I really enjoy. Same with Ark Survival Evolved. Or I guess I got the Ascended version recently on computer, and that's when I started modding it. But I have found it to be very fun and very rewarding to try to play through that modded and like kind of get a different sort of experience out of it. Setting up servers though for games, man, oh man, is that one frustrating process though, I've got to admit. It's very difficult sometimes to learn how to set up a server to run locally. I have my own grievances too, because my router isn't let's just say, isn't always cooperating with what I'm wanting to do with it. So that makes for a difficult time sometimes. As far as getting it all to run in smoothly and everything, and like, you know, get my friends to be able to join me and play the game and experience it all together. But yes, definitely very worthwhile though. When you're able to, it makes for a very fun time. Especially people that haven't played modded before, just trying that modded experience for the very first time. I love like watching people's reactions, like getting their thoughts and stuff for it, and like trying to adjust things accordingly so that way everyone has a good time. Because I know I personally like difficulty in my games. It's just something I really like. But other people, you know, aren't quite as, I guess, not hardcore, but, you know, quite as willing to devote so much time into learning a game's mechanics or grind out certain aspects of it, especially if they don't, you know, enjoy those aspects, which is understandable. But yeah, I've enjoyed making a number of mod packs at this point for Minecraft. Oh, can I not get stuff on you? So yeah, while I don't know that I do anything as far as game creation goes, I can, you know, appreciate the amount of work and so on and so forth that goes into creating a game. I've even, although once again kind of unrelated, spent some time making my own like custom playthrough of a Danmachi map, or a Danmachi inspired map at least, for Minecraft, that I at some point do want to share because I think it would be a really fun, cool thing to like invite people on, get their reactions, and kind of see what they take away from it. I know obviously it won't be perfect, but the end goal was to make something fun and enjoyable for me, and if other people are able to experience that and get kind of even just a fraction of that same feeling, then I think that's a great thing. And I think really games are really good at that. And honestly, I have a couple of other things I want to talk about games now that just like came to mind while I was yapping about it. So, yeah, at some point I will definitely make sure to talk about those thoughts, whether it be me writing it down and just trying to remember it for another day, or whatever it ends up being. Yeah. This game has definitely been something I've been very passionate about though, because I love looter shooters, although I haven't like played much. Like I've never played Escape from Tarkov, and my first introduction to the genre was a game called Marauders. I think I've mentioned it before, but like it just kind of didn't stick the landing for me, but I've always like wanted to play something more like this. Also, unrelated, but any of you that play this game regularly, tell me if I'm crazy, but whenever I go to craft the railgun, the very bottom part, this railgun breach component, it will always tell me I'm out, even though I factually know I have quite a few of them, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. But yeah, it's just something I've noticed. I don't know if that's a recent bug or if that's like something else going on with the game that I'm not aware of and I'm accidentally like messing with it somehow. But yeah, let me go ahead and quickly show you guys what I mean by that. I just like, if anybody happens to know in the comments, I'd be very curious to know. And my guess is that if it is an issue, it'll probably obviously be patched out next update. But like for instance, when you have the manufacturing workshop tab for the crate and you have the item, it will show as though you don't have it for this, and like, so I can't craft it despite the fact that I do have a number of this component. I can show you exactly what I mean by it. I do in fact have it. If I go all the way over here and I go ahead and find the item, which may or may not take me a second, you can see I have a lot of them. Somehow, I probably, because Nexus has a ton, I have a lot of them. But for some reason, and I can even like sell some. Oh, not that many. I'm not trying to get rid of all of them. I can even sell some, and like, you know, I can still get the cash from it, and I can go back here, and it's just gonna act like I don't have it. So I'm very curious if anybody happens to know. But with that said, though, thank you guys for playing, and I hope you enjoyed my little yapping session. In the meantime, I started upgrading my base to now have the bar at tier 2. I don't know what the upgrade is going to do exactly, but it's in process. So hopefully I will be able to show you guys that next time. With that said, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.